Well, better late than never, right? Hello everybody, welcome back. Boxie Nigma here, hopefully you there. And yes, this is about as late as I possibly could have thrown up the videos. By the time this video goes up, it'll be 12 noon, about an hour before the first games were played here on the East Coast for the NFL Week 3. But I wanted to get my picks up. I apologize for the delay here. This is Week 3 of the NFL season, so I'm going to come at you with your top 6 picks against the spread in the eyes of me, and I guess you could take those for what they're worth. I know first week I did not do so hot. My first week was last week. I got my lock of the week. I think I got 1 or 2 more games, but really did not have the best week last week. But it's okay. Calm down, rejoice, calm down, relax. We're going to move along, and hopefully we'll bounce back. This week I think you'll start to really see what teams in the NFL are the real teams, what teams are the pretenders, what teams still have a little bit left to offer. And that's actually where I'm going to get started, because my first 2 picks are going to be teams that are 0-2. Starting right off, the Minnesota Vikings. Let's be honest, the Vikings really, even though they're 0-2, they last week could have beat the cardiac Cutler Chicago Bears. They were about 1 second away from doing it, and pending a massive, huge play, I think the Minnesota Vikings would have got a win last week. This week, here come the Cleveland Browns. And if you're not sold on the Vikings, I'm going to sell you on the Browns. The Browns were that team. Remember the team, the Browns, that many people were saying, hey, maybe they'll make a little noise this season, huh? They're looking not too bad. I mean, hey, Cincinnati's not great, and it looks like the Ravens and Steelers are going to be taking a step back. Maybe this is the year the Browns show they're here to stay. And then before you blinked, 2 weeks into the season, they get rid of T. Richardson, Brandon Whedon is hurt, and it looks like instead of going for the division, they're probably going to be going into the Jadeveon Clowney, Teddy Bridgewater sweepstakes. I mean, they're not even playing Jason Campbell. They're going to we're not even going to pretend that we're trying hard. We're going to stick Hoyer in a QB. And Minnesota's pissed off. They're 0-2. They have talent. Let's be honest. Adrian Peterson, Greg Jennings, Kevin Rudolph, even if you ponder often, if Christian Ponder, see what I did that, should be a quarterback at all in this league, you gotta like the Vikings over the Cleveland Browns. It's only 6.5, and the Vikings are at home. My lock of the week this week, Minnesota Vikings at home. Moving right along, another team that's 0-2, and it is a team that you know full well I'm not a fan of, the New York Football Giants. Yeah, the same Giants who many a time I say, hey, they're done. Hey, they got nothing. And then the team goes on a huge roll and wins the Super Bowl. It's happened a couple times the last couple seasons, and I don't think they're completely finished. Sure, I don't think they'll battle in that division. I don't think they're going to make much noise in the NFC, but can they beat the Carolina Panthers in a pick'em game? Yeah. Not to mention, this team, Carolina, is completely banged up. They tried out Kerry Rhodes at quarterback. Remember him, Jets faithful? Kerry Rhodes, not quarterback, cornerback, or safety for defensive purposes, whatever. Kerry Rhodes shouldn't be playing football, and they tried him out this week. And quite frankly, the team is completely banged up. They have injuries out the ass, and you know if Eli Manning's dealing with a banged-up secondary, he's going to feast on them. And if the Giants didn't need any more added incentive, Coach Coughlin just lost his brother-in-law, and you know that team is going to be ready to play. They're going to do it for him. They're going to be emotional. I think the Giants, on the road, too, where they usually play better than they even do at MetLife, will get the win in a pick'em over Carolina. Speaking of games you would think have to jump on, I'm going to go right to the 4 o'clock game, the second part of the games for this week. Miami Dolphins, don't get me wrong, they're 2-0, playing host to a banged-up Atlanta Falcons, who don't have Steven Jackson, who have a banged-up Roddy White, who have banged-up defense, but they're still the Atlanta Falcons. Did you really think looking at this game you'd get points? I mean, I sure didn't. And I don't think you could really get away and be able to not take advantage of the fact where the Falcons are going to be underdogs to the Miami Dolphins. I mean, let's be honest, end of the season comes, I'm pretty sure you're going to be thinking back going, the Falcons were underdogs to the Dolphins? No offense, Miami Dolphins. Who am I kidding? I don't care if I offend the Miami Dolphin fans. But yeah, Atlanta Falcons, 2-point underdogs, take them. Even on the road to the Miami Dolphins. Miami has to show me a little more before I fully start to buy in. Moving right along, we're going to stay in the AFC East, and we're going to go to my faithful New York Jets. Now, before you turn off this YouTube video, let me explain. The Jets and Rex Ryan feasts on first-year quarterbacks. The only quarterback who's a first-year quarterback to ever beat Rex Ryan as a head coach, Russell Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks. And honestly, if I was the Seattle Seahawks quarterback, they'd probably have a chance. That's how good that team is. Russell Wilson, don't get me wrong, he's also a monster. So, of course, they're going to beat the Jets. But other than that, the Jets have beat up first-year quarterbacks, including Andrew Luck just last year. I think they'll have no problem with EJ Manuel. I know there's a lot of detractors who will say, yeah, but I mean, they have Patine, who used to be on the Jets defensive court. That's totally fine by me. I like the Jets here over the Bills at home by 2.5. It's only 2.5, and I think at the end of the day, you got to go with the home team, especially in a tough division matchup. I take the New York Jets with my 4th pick. Moving right along, I talked about Cleveland before being that team that, you know, it seems to be a bit of a pretender. It definitely is a pretender. I don't know if they're a pretender. I mean, they just flat out suck. Another team, though, that I'm not really buying into just yet is the Arizona Cardinals. A lot of people like them, and I don't blame them. Bruce Arians is a good quarterback, a good head coach last season, but he's also a first-year coach here. First time being a head coach, too. You also have Carson Palmer, who I think is past his prime, and a banged-up Larry Fitzgerald. And where are they headed this week? I'm sorry, who dat? Who dat? That's right, they're heading to New Orleans this week. And I don't think they got much of a chance. The point spread's only 7, and you want to talk about teams that are out to prove something this year? You got Sean Payton, you got Drew Brees, and the New Orleans Saints, and you're just waiting for them to explode. Well, maybe they'll explode against an Arizona team that has given up an average of 24 points a week over its first 2 weeks. I like the Saints here at home. My 5th pick, Saints by 7, 7.5, whatever it is at this point, take them. I think it's a safe pick. And for my final pick of the week here, normally I say, one of the main things I say to you, stay away from the big point spreads. 9 times out of 10, if I'm getting action on college games, I'm going for that team that's a 40-something point underdog just for the hell of it. But for the NFL, and you rarely see point spreads this big, 18, Seattle Seahawks at home, you got to go with them over the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm sorry. They have some good pieces, the Jaguars. They really do. They have good running back. They have good wide receivers. MJD, even though he's been banged up, I think does still have a little left in the tank. But the team's absolutely pathetic. And when you're playing in Seattle, I don't think those fans are going to let the Seahawks have a letdown week. I really don't. Even though, you know, big-time emotional victory, destroying the Niners, proving the detractors wrong, I think they're going to smoke the Jacksonville Jaguars. Even though 18 sounds like a lot, does 24-3 really sound that unrealistic for this game? Come on now. So that's my 6th pick of the week. Let's just recap real quick. I have the Jets by 2.5. Cricket again. My main man Crick wants a little bit of a cameo here. My main girl, sorry, don't mean to confuse her. My 6th pack of the week, New York Jets by 2.5. New York Giants getting off the schneid by a pick'em game in Carolina. The same Carolina Panthers that they made, you know, Cam Newton stick that towel over his head. That's what I want to see again. I have the Atlanta Falcons at 2-point underdogs on the road in Miami. I have the New Orleans Saints by 7 at home to the Arizona Cardinals. I also have that monster point spread, Seattle playing host by 18 over the Jacksonville Jaguars. And my lock of the week is the Minnesota Vikings at home by 6.5 over the Cleveland Browns. That's all the time I got for you here. I got my little Nationals hat on here. 4 games back, 7 left in the season, but until that E is by our name, I'll keep showing my attitude. I hope for all those fans that also follow along do as well. Follow along with me on Twitter, twitter.com/BoxieNigma. Feel free to leave your questions and comments in the comment section below. I promise you next week I'll be a little earlier on the picks. Until then, take it easy. You be well.